There is a subtle habit that drains more energy than we realize: the constant need to explain ourselves. We explain our choices, our silence, our boundaries, our ambitions, our personality, our preferences, and even our emotions. We justify why we said no. We defend why we changed. We clarify why we are different. And in doing so, we slowly hand over our power. The day you stop explaining yourself unnecessarily is the day everything begins to change. Most people explain themselves not because clarity is required, but because approval is desired. We want to be understood. We want to avoid conflict. We want to prevent rejection. So we over-communicate, over-justify, and over-defend. We write long messages to clarify simple decisions. We soften our boundaries with paragraphs of reasoning. We try to make everyone comfortable with choices that were never theirs to approve. But here is the truth: people who respect you do not require constant explanations. And people who do not respect you will not be satisfied no matter how detailed your explanation is. When you stop explaining yourself, you begin to operate from inner authority instead of external validation. You no longer ask for permission to exist as you are. Your decisions become statements, not debates. There is strength in brevity. A simple no, without justification, can feel terrifying at first. Silence after criticism can feel unnatural. Refusing to argue your values can feel like surrender. But in reality, it is the opposite. It is control. It is discipline. It is emotional maturity. Not every opinion deserves a response. Not every accusation deserves a defense. Not every misunderstanding deserves correction. When you constantly explain yourself, you subconsciously position others as judges. You behave as if your life is on trial and your role is to present evidence. But your life is not a courtroom. Your path is not a committee decision. The need to explain often comes from insecurity. We fear being misinterpreted. We fear being disliked. We fear being seen as wrong. Yet no amount of explanation can guarantee understanding. Some people misunderstand you because they lack information. Others misunderstand you because they lack perspective. And some misunderstand you because it benefits them. Explaining yourself does not fix that. Confidence is quiet. It does not rush to defend itself. It does not panic under scrutiny. It does not crumble under disagreement. When you are secure in your values, you do not feel compelled to broadcast the reasoning behind every choice. Stopping unnecessary explanations does not mean becoming cold or arrogant. It means discerning when clarity is productive and when it is performative. It means understanding that boundaries do not require essays. I can't attend. That doesn't work for me. I've decided to move in a different direction. These sentences are complete. One of the biggest shifts happens internally. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop negotiating with your own decisions. You trust yourself faster. You move with less hesitation. You waste less time replaying conversations in your head. You begin to realize something powerful. People adapt to the version of you that you consistently present. If you present yourself as someone who always justifies, others will expect justification. If you present yourself as someone grounded and concise, others will adjust. Energy that once went into defending your life can now go into building it. Silence becomes strategic. There is power in letting others sit with their assumptions. If someone chooses to misunderstand you, sometimes the most powerful response is none at all. Silence removes fuel from conflict. Silence communicates boundaries without hostility. When you stop explaining yourself, you also detach from the illusion that you must control how others perceive you. You accept that perception is filtered through personal bias. Some will admire you. Some will question you. Some will criticize you. And none of that requires your constant management. You are responsible for your character, not your reputation. Another transformation occurs in relationships. When you stop over-explaining, you naturally filter who belongs in your life. Those who respect your autonomy will remain. Those who require constant access to your reasoning will feel uncomfortable. That discomfort reveals misalignment. Healthy relationships are built on trust, not interrogation. There is also freedom in letting actions speak. Over-explaining often comes from trying to convince others of your intentions. But consistency speaks louder than clarification. Over time, integrity eliminates the need for defense. When your actions align with your values, explanations become unnecessary. Stopping the habit of explaining yourself also strengthens boundaries. Many people dilute their boundaries by wrapping them in excessive justification. They hope that by providing enough reasoning, the boundary will be accepted. But boundaries are not negotiations. They are standards. The more you explain, the more you invite debate. The more you justify, the more you signal doubt. Decisiveness commands respect. This does not mean refusing communication in important relationships. It means understanding the difference between healthy dialogue and approval-seeking. In meaningful partnerships, explanation is connection. In insecure dynamics, explanation is performance. Everything changes when you no longer perform. Your posture changes. Your tone changes. Your timing changes. Your presence changes. You become less reactive. You respond when necessary and remain silent when it is not. You conserve energy. You observe more. You speak with intention. People may initially resist this change. They may ask, why? They may push for details. They may interpret your brevity as distance. But over time, your steadiness becomes clear. Calm conviction is difficult to challenge. You begin to notice how much of life's drama is fueled by over-explanation. Arguments escalate because people defend themselves too quickly. Conflicts expand because everyone wants to justify their position. When you remove yourself from that pattern, you remove yourself from unnecessary chaos. Peace increases. Another powerful shift is self-respect. Every time you refuse to over-explain, you reinforce the belief that your decisions are valid. You no longer require a panel of approval. You trust your judgment. And trust in yourself is the foundation of personal power. You cannot be easily manipulated when you are not desperate to be understood. Manipulation often works by pressuring you to defend yourself repeatedly. When you remain calm and concise, manipulation loses leverage. You do not engage in circular arguments. You do not exhaust yourself trying to win approval. You stand firm. Over time, this creates a new identity. You become known as someone clear, grounded, and direct. Your words carry weight because they are not excessive. Your silence carries weight because it is intentional. And the most important transformation happens internally. Your mind becomes quieter. Without the constant rehearsal of explanations, there is more mental space. Less anxiety. Less second-guessing. More clarity. You begin to live instead of constantly narrating your life to others. When you stop explaining yourself, you accept a simple truth. Not everyone is meant to understand your journey. Some people are chapters. Some are lessons. Some are observers from a distance. Your role is not to convince. Your role is to live with integrity. Everything changes when you stop explaining yourself because your center of gravity shifts inward. You stop orbiting around others' expectations. You build from within. Decisions become cleaner. Conversations become calmer. Relationships become clearer. You realize that maturity is not found in winning arguments, but in choosing which ones are not worth entering. You realize that clarity does not require volume. You realize that power is not loud. And eventually, you reach a place where your life speaks so clearly that explanations become rare. Your consistency answers questions. Your boundaries prevent confusion. Your silence communicates confidence. When you stop explaining yourself, you reclaim your energy. When you reclaim your energy, you reclaim your focus. When you reclaim your focus, you reclaim your direction. And that is when everything changes.